Before he was CR7, a global icon with the world chanting his name, before the 5 Ballon d'Or awards and the fleet of supercars, he was just a boy from a small island. He grew up with so little that his family home had a tin roof, and a dream of football stardom seemed almost impossible. This isn't just a highlight reel of trophies and success. This is the story of the incredible sacrifices and immense struggles that took Cristiano Ronaldo from a name whispered on the streets of Madeira to a legend known in every corner of the globe. On the Portuguese island of Madeira, Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born in the São Pedro parish of Funchal, but grew up in the working-class neighborhood of San Antonio. He was the 4th and youngest child of Dolores, a cook and cleaner, and Dennis Aveiro, a municipal gardener and part-time kitman for a local football club. His family lived with so little that his mother, already struggling to feed 3 children, admitted she had considered ending the pregnancy. The 4 children all shared a single room. His father, Dennis, was a former soldier, deeply affected by fighting in an unpopular colonial war in Africa. He returned a changed man, and his struggle with alcoholism kept the family in constant financial difficulty. The pain of his father's battle was a shadow over Ronaldo's childhood. He would later admit, "I never really got to know him, but it was his father who gave him his first real connection to the game." As the kitman for the local club and arena, Dennis would bring his young son along. From the moment he could walk, Cristiano was obsessed. If he wasn't on a proper pitch, he was in the dusty streets, kicking a ball made of rolled up socks or whatever he could find. He'd often skip meals just to keep playing. His godfather recalled, all he wanted to do as a boy was play football. This wasn't just a hobby, it was his escape, a burning passion that sent him apart. His childhood friends remember a boy so competitive he would cry if he lost. An early sign of the ferocious will to win that would one day define him. At just 12 years old, Ronaldo's talent was impossible to ignore. After a successful 3-day trial, one of Portugal's biggest clubs, Sporting CP, signed him to their youth academy for a £1,500 fee. For any other family, it would have been a moment of pure joy. For the Aveiros, it was a heart-wrenching decision. It meant sending their youngest son, a boy who had never left his island, to live all by himself in Lisbon, hundreds of miles away. The move was brutal. Young Ronaldo was incredibly homesick. He was an outsider, a small island boy in the big city, and the other kids at the academy relentlessly teased him for his thick Madeiran accent. The loneliness was crushing, and he often cried daily, considering giving up and going home. At one point, he was so unhappy that his godfather had to intervene, convincing both Ronaldo and his family that this sacrifice was necessary for his future. He chose to fight. He funneled his pain and isolation into the one thing that made sense to him: football. He made the decision to stop his formal education, focusing his entire being on his craft. His time at school ended after he was expelled for throwing a chair at a teacher who he felt had disrespected him. An act of frustration that only hardened his resolve to follow a single path. Football wasn't just a dream anymore. It was his entire world. Just as he was starting to adapt, disaster struck. At 15, Ronaldo was diagnosed with tachycardia, a condition where his heart would race uncontrollably, even when he was resting. For any aspiring athlete, it's a terrifying diagnosis, one that could have and probably should have ended his career before it began. The risk was real, and his family faced an impossible choice. His mother Dolores later spoke of her fear, admitting there was very real chance he'd have to give up football for good. But Cristiano refused to let his dream die. He underwent a delicate heart surgery where a laser was used to cauterize the area causing the irregular rhythm. The procedure was a success. In an almost unbelievable display of determination, he was discharged from the hospital just hours after the operation and was back at training only a few days later. He had faced the end of his dream and didn't even blink. That near miss seemed to forge a new layer of resilience in him. The boy who had overcome poverty and loneliness had now overcome a threat to his very life. With his healthcare behind him, Ronaldo didn't just climb the ranks at Sporting, he blasted through them. He had a work ethic that stunned coaches and teammates. He was often the first one on the training pitch and the last one to leave, staying behind for extra practice. This relentless drive led him to do something no one in the club's history had ever done. He played for Sporting's under-16, under-17, under-18, B team and first team, all within a single season. On October 7, 2002, at just 17 years old, he made his first debut at the Primera Liga and scored 2 goals. His mix of explosive speed, baffling step-overs, and raw power was unlike anything the league had seen. He was a phenomenon, and soon, the biggest clubs in Europe started calling. Liverpool, Barcelona, and Arsenal all showed interest, with Arsene Wenger even meeting the young prodigy. But one fateful night was about to change the course of his life. On October 6, 2003, Sporting CP played a pre-season friendly against Manchester United to open their new stadium. For Ronaldo, this was more than just a game. It was an audition on the world's biggest stage. What happened next is the stuff of legend. The 18-year-old winger was simply unstoppable, running circles around the United defense. On the plane home after the 3-1 loss, the Manchester United players couldn't stop talking about their kid who had run them ragged. They begged their manager, the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, to sign him, but Ferguson, a master scout, was already convinced. He later called Ronaldo one of the most exciting young players he had ever seen. While United had initially planned to sign him and loan him back to Sporting for a year, his performance was so dominant that Ferguson knew he couldn't afford to wait. Within days, a deal was done. Manchester United paid £12.24 million, a record fee for a teenager at the time, and Cristiano Ronaldo was officially a Red Devil. The boy from Madeira, who once cried himself to sleep in Lisbon, was now heading to the theatre of dreams. From a young boy in Madeira to a global icon, Ronaldo's journey is one of immense struggle and even greater triumph. It's proof of what happens when raw talent is fueled by an unbreakable will. What part of his story inspires you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more on the world's greatest athletes. This was just the start of his journey. At Manchester United, he would inherit the iconic number 7 shirt, previously worn by club legends like George Best and David Beckham, and transform from a flashy winger into one of the most complete forwards in the world. He would go on to win 3 Premier League titles, his first Champions League, and his first Ballon d'Or. The move to Real Madrid for a world record fee in 2009 cemented his status as a global icon, as he shattered nearly every goal-scoring record imaginable. But the trophies and the records only tell part of the story. The true story of Cristiano Ronaldo is written in the sacrifices he made, the poverty he overcame, the health scare he defeated, and the loneliness he endured. It is the story of a father he lost far too soon. A man whose death from alcoholism in 2005 fueled Ronaldo's famous teetotalism and relentless professionalism. His father never got to see him conquer the world. Ronaldo's rise wasn't a fairy tale, it was a brutal, relentless climb, powered by a self-belief so strong it bordered on defiance. He's a living example of the idea that where you come from doesn't have to decide where you're going. He wasn't just a young signing who became a superstar, he was a boy with an impossible dream who simply refused to wake up.